Good morning, everyone. So happy to have you here. Believe it or not, this is our ninth week. I cannot believe. Can I start crying now? Because I know this has been so wonderful, so inspiring. So I want to thank you for being here on time, for showing up your beautiful smiles, for keep on doing what you know how well you do. So, welcome everybody. We're going to wait just a little more for people to show up. Today is going to be an incredible class. I love the system, the literacy system I'm going to present to all of you, but it's going to be kind of a weird session today because I have a guest speaker, Miss Kitty Glines. She is a co-worker with me in the Central New Mexico Community College. She also teaches English as a second language to adults, but she is doing it at a high school, kind of an alternative high school for students that were not able to finish high school and they are kind of catching up. So her expertise, she's going to tell you all about her. She was 7 years in a foreign country teaching English as a second language, and she has a lot of experience in project-based learning. She couldn't come last week because Jeff Fastnat, our guest speaker, he could only come on December the 3rd, so that's why I switched them. But Kitty, because of her work schedule, is going to come at my 10 a.m. So in 1 hour. So what we're going to do, we're going to start our topic, and then she's going to come and she's going to talk to us about her own experience in project-based learning. We collaborated at the beginning of the school year. She was new to this community college. So my husband says that I'm a finger lifter. I'm always like, I help, I do. So when she said, who can help me? We went for coffees and we were helping each other. And she helped me a lot in regards making project-based learning at the low beginning level. And guess what? They were talking, they were engaged, they were excited. So she is going to come and share that expertise. And today, what I want to present, it's something that is very dear to my heart because I am a witness that this really works for all type of learners. But before we get started, I want to remind all of you the commitment that we have for next week. The final presentations are going to be very, very easy. What we are going to do, if you haven't done so, you can select a date and decide what do you want to present. You're not going to be teaching 1 hour. You are going to make a video, and due to the power cuts, some of you had the great idea that you can record yourself ahead of time in case there's no power. So we are going to pause that because your professor, Olina, and I are kind of coming up with something super cool for all of you. But I am going to ask you if you are able to attend, if you have like battery saving your phone or you have electricity, please don't miss out these sessions because I know you're going to enrich your professional and your personal life, just connecting with other educators that are as passionate as you. But what I did is I gave you a link to each one of the videos here. So you have all what we have learned and the dates and the names. So if you want to go back and refresh your memory in regards what we saw, each one of these is has a link for you to be able to see it again. And the expectations, just be yourself and tell me what was interesting to you. And remember, you are among friends. I'm not your supervisor. I'm not here to give you a grade. I'm just learning, just like you every day, make a bunch of mistakes. But the important thing is that we realize that in enriching each other, we become better teachers. So don't be afraid. This is not going to be, I'm going to give you a grade and I'm going to point out mistakes. No, we're here just to maybe present a question like, I wonder how this would work at this level, or I wonder how this would. So no worries, no problems at all. We are here just to have a great time in a safe environment. That's what we're doing here. Very good. Any questions so far? You can tell me in the chat or.
Everything is clear. Thank you.
Very good. Okay, so then let me present or start presenting what we're going to talk about today. What we are talking about is a menu that I have used it at the elementary level and at the high school level, both with English as a second language. This website, thedailycafe.com, gives you the interactive menu. You can download the menu or you can use it there. So the cafe menu stands for comprehension, accuracy, fluency, and expand vocabulary. What does it mean? Well, you have a lot of strategies to help your students improve the comprehension of what they are reading in English. If you click in each one of them, it will explain you what it is. For example, set a purpose for reading. Let's click on that one. And it explains you the reference guide, how can you assess it? If you want to talk to the parents, this is what we're doing in the classroom. Maybe you can help me. And it gives you videos and how to do it. Very good. So let's go back. If you said, well, accuracy, that they are able to read with accuracy what they are reading, recognizing the sounds, uh, being able to say the word slowly, things like that. You have here every single one of the activities explained very well. For example, try a different sound. Maybe the students are struggling with recognize, I don't know, for example, the A and the U together in English that makes the sound O. And then you can say, well, do you remember the word Austin, August, autumn? So they can connect that sound with what they are reading. And again, here you have a reference guide, what you can say to the parents. Maybe you have a bookmark that the students can put in their book so they remember, what am I doing? I'm recognizing sounds. And then you can assess each one of the strategies that the students are trying. Let me tell you, this doesn't happen in one day like, ding, I give you the gift. You have to model the strategies to the students little by little, one by one. And then once you set them up, you can mini conference with the students, just a few minutes, you hear them reading, and you can give them the authority or the collaboration with you to self-assess. Did you listen to your reading? What are the strategies that you think you're going to be working in this week? And let's say, you know what? I need to try my sounds. Okay, so all this week while you're reading, you're going to remember, and I'm going to explain you in detail in a second. But this is something that the students have to own. This is not you possessing it and you checking on them. That's why you have to teach them little by little how to set up these strategies. Then the next one will be fluency, how fast they read, but obviously when they are understanding and when they are reading correctly. I'm pretty sure you have had students that read super fast, but they don't understand a thing. So that's why we balance. Maybe a way to slow them down is they have to fill out a paper that says what happened at the beginning, in the middle, on at the end. So that way you can read all fast you want, but you are holding them accountable that maybe they have to read it several times in order for them to fill out this graphic organizer, for example. And then the last part of the cafe is expanding the vocabulary. For me, this was very important because I needed my students to move from the social language to the academic language. The ESL students at a high school level, they come from another country with no English or minimal English, and the next day they have to go to the biology class, to the history class, that there's a lot of information. And the student said, the teacher said, I asked them, how are you? How was your weekend? And they responded. And I said, do you understand there are like three universes between hi, how are you? And learning the parts of the metamorphosis or high concepts in science. So expanding their vocabulary is very important to help the students progress in their English. So here are all the strategies that the students can be working when you want them to move from writing in their stories, I'm sad. There are like 300 words to express themselves instead of I'm sad, I'm disappointed, I'm discouraged, I'm a under the weather. I don't know, many, many different things. So tune in to interesting words, for example. Use prior knowledge and context clues. So all that helps them. Even if they see a word that they don't know the meaning, they can definitely infer the meaning of the word based on the context clues. So I hope this piqued your interest in digging a little bit into the cafe literacy system. Again, this is the website, thedailycafe.com. And if you go in depth, well, you have to pay, but I didn't pay. I just learned, I bought the book and I learned how to use it. And this is my classroom. Let me expand it. When I was teaching in Austin, Texas, I was teaching second grade. So the first component of this literacy system is you have a morning meeting where you get all your students together. I'm talking here for the elementary teachers, and you practice the calendar inferencing. For example, this Wednesday, I'm going to see the doctor. He asked me to come in 3 weeks. What number of the day? What day would it be? Tell me the month, tell me the day, etc. And then you talk about the weather. You talk about how is the environment, all that. What time is it? As you may see, there are a lot of components here. I had a small whiteboard to practice and refresh like the strategy we were working on. I was working in ordinal and cardinal numbers. So there were a lot of things we were practicing. And I'm dating myself because you can see here the recording machine. And I was having half of the group, I was teaching them English, and half of the group, I was working in Spanish comprehension and writing and reading. So when I leave the school, I was recording myself, reading the same story in English and in Spanish. So while the ones in English were listening to me and I set the expectations, I have a leader to master be like the mini teacher in control of the recording machine. I was working with the other group in Spanish, teaching them or math or teaching them strategies or writing, whatever. And then we switch. So it was a lot of work in the classroom and outside the classroom. All the other teachers had just one language, but I learned a lot. And I learned again how important it is to set the expectations and practice the expectations again. You are going to have students that get out of the norm or the expectation. So with one eye, I was looking the ones that were listening to reading. And with my other eye, I was working with the group. So if one student was distracted or not paying attention in the reading, I said, that's it. You go and you work independently. So it was like kind of a privilege to work in the group. So again, expectations are the key. So then this is my word wall. Every time I saw a word that the students struggle to spell or that I know I would use it later in the month or in the unit, I wrote it down. So they have a reference to how to spell the word. Maybe we talk about the special sound in it, and that was growing or maybe erasing and coming back. That is a very good reference for the students to be able to improve their own writing, a quick reference. Then this is the whole classroom. We had like helpers in the classroom. They were second graders in a low socioeconomic school. I never move one finger because I said, this is our classroom. This is our community. So I'm not going to clean and put things in its place. It's all of us. So 5 minutes before leaving, I have the person that changed the date, put the chairs up, um, empty the trash can, things like that. And everybody knew what was their job. We sang while we were cleaning everything. They line up and we went to the buses. But again, you have to practice the expectation. And if a student was not doing their job, you lost that privilege and you switch students. This is the mini lessons and conferencing table. As you may see here on top, I have the expectations. And then I have here are you seeing the arrow that I'm moving or no? Are you seeing me moving the arrow?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
thank you.
yes.
Okay, thank you. So here I have the sentence structure, and in this system, you color code the same. For example, article is with black, adjectives are with red, verbs are with green, adverbs are with blue. So every time you write, they know what part of the sentence it is because you are consistent. So here I have the article the, and then you have the adjectives. So you give them ideas and how to develop their sentences. And they can even pick and choose to create their own sentence. So you're always reinforcing what's an adjective, what's a noun, what's a verb. And they can create one sentence just by looking at your reference chart. And there's one tiny little station that when a student was struggling, I make them stand while I was working with my group, and they have to move these tiny little pieces of paper and form sentences. And I was just like, okay, yes, make another one while I was working with the other ones. Yes or no, check the adjective, blah, blah, blah. So this was a working station. And here I mini conference with the students. I have books that are labeled like lower beginning, high beginner, low intermediate, high intermediate. So every time that I sat a group, I work them by skills, not by level. So I could have a group and I had one low beginner, one high intermediate, but we were working in the same strategy. For example, the code words or expand your vocabulary. And while they were all reading, I check individually and then we write the goals for that week. And then I move with the next one and with the next one. So when they were working individually, they had a paper that they referred to. And I'm going to explain it in a little while what they were working with. So every moment of the lesson had a goal. When they were working independently, you're going to ask, how do you make them be reading all the time? The secret is that every week we went to the library, the school library, and I make them pick 3 books of their own interest. So they were reading because they liked the books. And then I check, like, nope, this is too high for you. Go look for another book. And I show them, this is the section of the library that you can pick to or choose a book. So they were challenging a little bit, but not if it's second grade. They're not gonna choose a chapter book this big, because I know they're not gonna read it and they're gonna get distracted. So picking the right books, it's a very important component for the students to be able to read the whole time. And they know I'm going to meet with them next week and they have to show me they improve. So they have a target, they have books that they like, and we practice the expectation. How does it look reading independently? How does it look reading to other? All that is the secret to this system. Practice, practice, practice. Then here you see my cafe menu, and these are the strategies. And this is not at the beginning of the school year, because you can see a lot of strategies. Each student has a copy of the cafe menu, and they write down in their own binder the strategies that we assign. Then something extra that hopefully one day I would talk about is the peace center. This is a strategy for the students to self-regulate when they are getting frustrated, when they are getting angry. We have here strategies how to breathe. I don't know if you have ever heard, for little kids, you said, blow the candles, smell the roses. Blow the candle, smell the roses. So they are breathing to calm themselves down. So if you ever had a chance, Google peace centers. There were 2 teachers in New York that they had students that they all solve it or with bad words or hitting. And they realize we need to teach them how to self-regulate. So this was school-wide a system in how to help the students self-regulate their emotions. Very, very effective. Then these are other classrooms in my same school where teachers had, we go to garage sales when other teacher is retiring. We get their books by donation or by buying them, but you have a lot of books available. Don't panic, because you can do that also online for free and have a bunch of different books for the students to choose. Let me write it down. The books online. I'm gonna give you the link in the chat. So as you may see, some teachers go over the board decorating. Don't panic over that. But as you may see, there's a lot of work involved in having the word wall, having a lot of books available, working on computers for games that also help them to improve. And this is my classroom in another elementary school, dual language school, and a lot of material and practices. And this is where I start working, pairing up the students. Remember that I told you peanut butter and jelly, and they didn't know what peanut butter and jelly means. In my brain, peanut butter was this student is very good in this specific skill, and jelly is the one that needs to learn from it. Maybe tomorrow they're going to be paired up with a different student because what was the leader yesterday, today needs to learn from other. So you pair them up depending on the activity or the skill they need to learn. And this, I did it even with high schoolers. They laugh at me like, oh, peanut butter jelly, but it works, right? They never know why you pair them up with so and so, but you practice. Show me, and you're going to read one book in front. There are videos available in the cafe so you learn how to teach these strategies. But let me tell you, it is amazing. Then you write frequent words again that they need. Again, it's always very good to have a board where if one asks a question, you stop the class and you teach a mini lesson right in the moment to be able to explain them. Again, this is my classroom, all the books available for them. The computers, it was a privilege to go and play some games there for fluency. And again, you always model the day of the week, the month, you make them read. They have the schedule available so they see. Even for students that have Asperger's or ADHD, it's so good that they can see the schedule. It gives them a lot of peace. Like, I know what's going to happen in the class, and you reduce the student's frustration. And here is the Bloom's taxonomy. So I make the students know through the objective what level of Bloom's taxonomy we were learning. So in that specific case, we were at the knowing level. So I teach them, these are the words. When they said comments for each other, we practice those cognitive verbs like I infer or I understand or I know or when I analyze. So you adapt those words into their own vocabulary by modeling and explaining them what we're using. So they are super important. And again, the schedule of the day. So that was several of my classrooms. Now, I want you to see this video. We're going to see a teacher. How does she do the cooperative learning? And let me make sure that I share the sound before I go anywhere. Hold there. Share computer sound. Okay, here we go.
Class, we were talking about listen and talk last time, and I want to think and have you help me come up with some strategies if you have a chance to listen and talk and your partner is not talking. What might be some of our cues or clues we could give them if they are not talking? Yes.
They stop talking, and then they look at.
They do. Okay, so what I'm saying is, let's say, James, let's say today we're going to turn and talk about the reading strategy we just learned, which is make connections. And your job is to turn and talk to your partner about a connection you made in your story. And I turn to James. James, would you come stand right up here? James is my partner. I turn to him, and I lean in, and I don't have anything to say. What might you say to me, James?
I might say that when let's say that I read a book that on a Christmas night when someone went to go get lights, they got home and they lost their ladder, and let's say that I had that happen too.
You did. So you had a connection to that. Wow, that was amazing. Okay, so now you said yours. Now you're waiting for me to talk, and I'm not going to say anything. What might you say to me?
What do you remember that you read in a book that you have a connection with?
So, what are you doing for me, James?
I'm trying to help you.
You're trying to help me, and you're trying to help me by doing what?
Trying to help you figure out of what a connection you have that you read a book in.
I would like him as my partner because he's trying to ask me a question. You just asked me a question about that, didn't you? And it was all about the topic. So that would be great. James, you have a seat, and I'm going to write, you could ask a question. So this is if your partner doesn't know what to say. This is for working with your partner. What else, Emily? What else could you do?
Like if you thought that your partner was going to go first, you could say, would you like to go second, so you can have a little bit to think about it?
Would you like to think about it? Okay, great. Do you think this could ever happen, that your partner might not know what to say? Yeah, I think it could, Justin. You could have more time to think. Could have more time to think. Have time to think. What else might you do for your partner? Yeah, Krishna.
You can ask them what did you do for the weekend?
So you could ask them a question. Now that's a perfect thing. We want to make sure and ask them a question about what the topic is, not about something else. So we want to keep going with the topic. Davis.
If they don't know what to do, we can remind them about, like if you were in the book club with them, you can remind them about the book and stuff.
You could remind them. I would want to be your partner too, because that would really help me. You could say, remember when we did that? Another reminder. Tanya?
Give them a clue what to write about.
You could give them a clue about what to talk about too. Yeah, Sydney.
You can ask them if you want to share what you read.
So maybe just asking them another question, remind them of the question is going to help. One more, Jesslyn.
If you've seen them or him read a book that they forgot about, but you were like their neighbor and you told and you were there trying to talk with each other, and then they didn't know what to tell you about the connections, you can just remind them about that.
So we'll go ahead and remind them. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice one more time, keeping these ideas in mind in case your partner cannot remember. So we're going to listen and talk. Oops, wrong one. Listen and talk to your partner about. So we'll listen and talk to them. And today, right now, let's practice listening and talking to your partner about your favorite strategy you use in reading. So think first. What's your strategy you use in reading? Okay, if you would now listen and talk to your partner.
So notice the teacher display the strategies so they can refer to. Notice they turn and talk.
What's your favorite strategy that you use? On the cafe menu, what's one of them that you
This
use?
doesn't
Do you
happen
use that?
overnight. You practice and practice.
Okay, give yourself about 5 seconds to finish up your
Look
conversation.
how they are respecting what they are saying. You have 5 seconds to finish. Wrap it up, and then they have to turn to the teacher again.
Excellent. Here's what I heard these two say. When they were listening and talking, one of them said, I forget what we're talking about. Has that ever happened to you when you're given the direction? You're like, I can't remember. That's what the partner does. The partner comes in and says, oh, I remember. We're supposed to talk about what our favorite strategy is. Question, Caitlin?
Well, what if your connection you don't remember, but your connection is to a book, like something that the person did in the book that you've done before?
So if it had to do with the story or what the question was, your partner could help you with that and help you decide. So today we did some looking at listen and talk and some refinements because we're going to be using this a lot this year. And now we talked about what happens if we get to a point and we forget or our partner forgets what to talk about. We now have some strategies on what to do to help that conversation continue.
Very good. So I hope this gives you hope and what to do in that situation. And that can happen to all of us, that you don't remember what to talk about. But these are very interesting things. Can you share in the chat if you knew about these strategies, if it's something foreign to you, if you would be interested in learning more about these things? Please tell me in the chat, or if you want to say it out loud, I will be glad to hear it. And if I can open the chat, sometimes it doesn't let me. I don't know why. Anyone? If it's something new, foreign, okay, Olina would be interested. I think this is an excellent strategy because you notice they are small kids. Valeria, it's new, and I have done it, and it exactly works as you saw the video. It's not magic, it's let's practice again. And what I do is that there are students that are not doing what they are supposed to do. I don't use them to model. I use the respectful, obedient student. Show me how it looks like. Sit crisscross, elbow to elbow. It means you're seated side by side when they are reading to other. And where are your hands and where are your eyes? And you model it every time you're going to start at the beginning of the school year. And then you said, okay, we're going to try 5 minutes. And then how did it look and how did you feel? And you start expanding the time that they are concentrated doing what they are supposed to do. Very good. Very interesting strategy, Antonina. Yes, interesting way they learn student important skills. I agree with you. Now, this is the chart. I'm going to share it with you. This is the chart with all the strategies. So the students have, each one of them have their strategies in their own folders. So this is not something the teacher do. This is something the students have to own. I want to understand. I want to be a better reader. I want to be able to decode the words. So you practice just like the teacher model. You have a bunch of videos there that show you one by one how to model each one of the strategies. And each student is going to be working in different strategies. This is not everybody's doing the same thing. And believe me, when I was teaching second grade in Austin, Texas, I had students in second grade that were reading at a kindergarten level. And the principal said, by the end of the school year, they have to be reading at beginning second grade. So I was working in these strategies day and night, and with God's help, because believe me, it blew my mind that several of the students that I had reading at the kindergarten level at the end of the school year were reading at beginning second grade. So it was a lot of work involved, but it works. I am a witness, and I use it at a high school level, and it works too. So the secret is not the level, the secret is explaining them very well the strategies and how to work, and it really, really works. Very good. So I show you the interactive menu. You have the website. Then we talk about what we're gonna do at the end of the school year. So it's time for us to now get in the real enchilada. Very good. So you know we are recording. And what is the cafe menu? In what is the deal with this? Well, it personalized reading instructions. This is not a whole class, but it builds confidence and independent readers. It creates a meaningful classroom routines, because the secret, as I said, you don't start with content day one. The first week, you start setting up all the routines and practice and practice and practice and practice. And if you see students that are getting out of the expectation, you go back and you practice again. This is consistency is the secret. Very good. So what are the 4 pillars of this system? As you may see, is comprehension, accuracy, fluency, and expanding the vocabulary. So a system that goes hand by hand with the cafe is called the Daily 5. So those are the 5 things that the students have to do every day. So the students have the option to decide which one they want to practice. Read to self with the books that they like, work on writing. It can be answers to the questions of the books they're reading, a story that you want them to read, war wall. Maybe the words that are in your war wall, they can work on the meaning, use it in a story, read to someone. All these are strategies that they practice. And let's say they are reading to other and they are just talking about something else, they lose the privilege of reading to someone. And listening to reading. So they listen to a native speaker reading stories, and that way they improve their pronunciation. There's also a book about the Daily 5. You will love it. I know I'm throwing a bunch of things to you. Don't stop loving me. So this is the cafe menu board. So this is not you doing it. The students are interacting with the cafe menu. They have their goals in their own binder. And as you may see here, there are the name of the students who's working in what. That's for you. So you remember, for example, you see somebody that is not engaged. Remember, so-and-so, you're working in Fluency. You're going to conference with me tomorrow. So it helps you to keep everybody engaged in what they're supposed to be doing. And the strategies are organized for clarity, for all of them to know this is, as a class, what we are doing. Any questions so far? Am I going too fast, too slow?
So everything is okay.
Okay, so we continue then. Then setting up your cafe board. you create 4 columns and you are going to post the strategy cards. Every card that you post means you already practiced the strategy. You cannot post the name of a strategy if you didn't show them exactly how to work. You talk to them, show me how it works. We're going to practice 2 minutes and we're going to see around that every is doing. And you're going to model one strategy per day. You cannot put them all. So today we do one and we practice it. Tomorrow we do another one. Or depending how you see them, maybe it takes a few days to build up. And then once they are already built up and they know what to do, then the students start selecting their goals. Let me show you this amazing video of a teacher. Oh,
Not for
well,
music.
and that's
It's gotta
always
be my
hurt.
new one.
Your new album?
Yeah, play it on Amazon Music.
I'm a bad man.
How do you professionally tell your manager, stop
There's nothing I can
micromanaging
do.
me?
With Grammarly.
Okay,
I
here
appreciate
it
your
is.
guidance, but
The authors that wrote the Daily 5 book have also written a book called Cafe, and it doesn't focus as much on the literacy framework specific. What it does focus on is how to teach children comprehension strategies, goals and strategies. The goals being comprehension, accuracy, fluency, and expand vocabulary. So these provide you with mini lessons at the beginning of the year once your Daily 5 framework is set up in place and the children are independently able to be at the centers and just be at the rotations. Now they're taught how to implement a variety of strategies based on what their reading needs are. It's not as much about your reading level as about what your strategy is. What is it I'm working on to become a more successful reader? So if your goal is comprehension, there are a variety of strategies that are introduced in a whole group format. Also during individual lessons, of course, too, the students know that's what I'm working on. So when I go to read to self, I know my goal is to improve my comprehension or my ability to understand what I read. So therefore I need to back up and reread. And I know how to do that because it's been taught to me at a series of lessons. And then that's what I'm checking with them about when the other students are at rotations. It gives us an opportunity as teachers to pull strategy groups as well. So if there's a series of students working on accuracy, which is I can read the words, someone may be at a lower level than another student, but they're both working on taking a word apart or looking for familiar parts of the word. So regardless of level, the students are focused on the same strategy, which allows you to provide, I feel, a more cohesive small group lesson. As well, there's fluency. So the students are taught how to become more fluent readers, what it looks like and sounds like to be a more fluent reader. There are a variety of strategies, of course, that are associated with that specific reading goal. And lastly, it's expand vocabulary. Expanding vocabulary is the specific reading goal, again with a variety of strategies that are introduced whole group to the students. And then when you're doing your running records or reading assessments with the children and you're having a teaching point with them, you're referring specifically to a strategy, they know then that's what I need to work on and that the teacher will be checking in on me in a week or two to see how I've done with that. And as well, when they're involved with the Read to Someone part of the Daily 5 framework, the student's responsibility prior to going to read to someone is to come to the cafe board. The strategies are posted with the students' pictures beside, so it's quite clear to them and to their friends what they're working on. We don't talk about levels in the classroom now. We talk specifically about reading goals and reading strategies. So some of these students may be multi-age students. There may be some first graders and second graders that are actually working, although at very different levels in reading. I have really liked this approach to teaching reading because it gets us away from thinking about all reading at the same level or having reading groups that are stagnant and you're not moving and it's not fluid, that the blue group stays together for the entire year and they're all reading the same thing at the same time, regardless of their strategies, regardless of what they need to work on to become better readers. Whereas this way, the implementation here allows us to focus more specifically on them. And I also really believe it provides them with excellent reading vocabulary themselves. They really have ownership over what it is that they need to do. As young as first grade, they're able to tell you my reading goal is accuracy and I'm looking at word endings so that I can read words more accurately. So again, combined with the Daily 5 program, it's provided a really successful literacy framework for the last couple of years.
So as I said, I am a witness that this is a very, very powerful literacy system where students really are able to grow their strategies. Very good. I have another video, is the same teacher, but I found it very, very helpful to understand this system. Oh no, I'm sorry. There's nothing I can do. Forgive me. It quickly. Okay, here we
The
go.
authors of the Daily Five book also have written their Cafe book, which is a program that we've been using in our classroom this year. And it really has provided me with an opportunity to ensure I've taught reading strategies effectively, and it gives me an opportunity to ensure that my assessment of my readers and my students is effective as well. When I read the Cafe book, it's written by the same authors as the Daily Five, it really struck a chord because as I was reading, I was thinking, I get it, I get it. There are 4 components and 4 goals that the children are well versed in. Comprehension is just, I understand what I read. Accuracy, I can read the words. Fluency, I can read the words accurately with expression and understand what I mean. The last reading goal is expand vocabulary, which means I know, find, and use interesting words. What I love about this program specifically is that they all at this point can explain all of those goals. They know what ones they need to work on to become better, more efficient readers. But more importantly than that too, they're very focused on the specific strategies that they need in order to attain the reading goal. The children have identifiable specific strategies that they're working on. Their name and their picture are on the sticky note. So it allows for them to move themselves around, to see where they are, to see who's working on the same strategies that they are working on. The beginning of the year, of course, there's a lot of mini lessons and a lot of work around explaining the strategies, teaching the strategies, reinforcing the strategies, etc. I pull a strategy group. We use a piece of text that's appropriate to our grade level. The students, though, are all within varying ranges, but they're all focused on the strategy of perhaps it's noticing word endings. So that's when I teach to the piece of text, I'm teaching specifically on working on word endings. We gear our lesson around that, we do our practicing around that. Then I have an opportunity afterward to follow up with the students for the next couple of weeks, check in and see, are they using that strategy? Is it working for them? Do we need to reassess, perhaps give them a different strategy, perhaps even move their reading goal? When we do read to someone, the students come up before they begin, they show their partner what their reading goal is, what their strategy is, which gives them a framework to sit down and read with. And they really do that. They really do say, at the end of it, you really did a good job of paying attention to punctuation because your reading goal is fluency. So they're zeroing in and helping their friends, but that just reinforces strategies for them as well as they're doing their reading. The board, again, is very fluid. I found that that's a teachable section or element that the kids really need to understand, because I was surprised initially that they felt it was a continuum. They started here and ended up down there, as opposed to recognizing that when I move to a higher level of reading, when my reading gets better and I'm more proficient, then I might have to go back and really think about check for understanding who and what. I model that a lot for them, and I do explain it as an adult. That's a strategy I use most often. I reread the text, and then I make sure that I've comprehend what I've read. So I really can't talk enough about how successfully this works in terms of differentiated instruction, children's interests, and expanding their knowledge and their ability to become efficient, independent, engaged readers.
Very good. So I know I'm throwing a lot to you right now. You really need to dig into the available videos in YouTube or in the Daily Five web page. Right now, what I would like to do is, do you think you could be able to do it? Are you interested in starting and trying? What I did is, that was my reading part of the day. That was the chunk of time. I was a self-contained dual language teacher, so I was teaching all the subjects, but my reading chunk was using the cafe strategies. Would you be willing to try? Do you find this interesting? Tell me in the chat. And I know it sounds like a lot, but again, you don't do it all in one day. You progress little by little, little by little, and it works the whole year because it's with different books. Let me give you one website in books, free books online. This website, Epic Books, has a lot of books for low beginner books, and they have reading it to the person, or they can read it to themselves. It's free. You start with your teacher account, and so that can substitute a library in your school. There are a lot of different free websites where the students can read books. I have to dig and then share through Telegram web pages that they have somebody reading to the story, and then like 4 different exercises for the students to improve comprehension or spelling, and they are free. That's the best part. So I'm waiting for somebody brave enough to tell me, does that sound something that you would like to do?
Wow, personally, I think that the idea itself is really great, but to be ready to start to implement this idea in teaching process, you need really to do a lot to try yourself. Well, you have to work at learning the material, at reading books, at watching maybe such kind of videos, and you know that personal, I think how to organize it. I mean, in the classroom. Well, actually, it's not very difficult, but still, so all these things just to equip the classroom, and the problem is it well, how to do it, how to work on it if, for example, we have online
Here it
lessons.
is. Let me show you. This is my class, the one I just finished teaching. This is the community college that I'm teaching, that I'm working here on site. And if the internet let us enter, I'm going to show you. This was the first time that I had 4 levels in the same class. So I was like, I have no idea how am I going to teach 4 levels in the same class. So what I did, I'm going to tell you the truth. I tried ChatGPT to help me. It was a total disaster. I'm like, I have to do it myself. So what I do is that each week I post a board. So this is the theme that we were working, the book that we were using, and I make them see a video first. And then I don't know if you have ever used Quizlet. This is super good because that helps you to practice the words. There are a set of words already made. You don't have to do it yourself. It's free. You create your classes, and then you said, this is what I want them to practice. For example, dental care and hospital was one of the units. They click in it, and it has a flashcards. Hold there. Where is it? So these are the flashcards. And so what I like, the internet is super slow. Please forgive me. It shows you the picture, blood work. And then if you click here, it reads for you. And then if you flip it, it shows you the picture of what they are doing. And then you go through all the vocabulary of the unit, and it's free. So what I ask my students when they arrive, you play a game, you work on the Quizlet. So the game is for practicing a skill that I want to practice. This also, Word Wall, is a free game website. Let me show you what it is. So what they do is they're practicing spelling. And so they drag. No. So that's what they do. They are practicing, and it's free again. So there are a ton of things online you can do that makes it fun, that makes it interesting. And then there are parts of the lesson that I practice with them. So what I did is I make rotations, and each one is working in different things. So while I work with this, they are working on their workbook. These are, for example, in demonstrative adjectives, they have to watch the video, listen to the audio. They have activities, and I train them in what they're going to do. This is super doable, but you have to really think, okay, what I want them to do. They have memory games. They have games in the classroom. We sing songs, but all that you need to do is get started. It's not about money. It's about deciding, I want to do it. And not be afraid of telling the students, you know what, this is something new that I'm trying. I'm going to learn with you. And it is okay to say, that stink, it didn't work. Why don't we start tomorrow? Let's try again, right? Thank you, Natalia. Anyone else? Do you have any comment? I know it looks intimidated, but I am the witness that I was just like you, like, this is a lot. But you start with one strategy. You don't need to know it all. You start with one strategy, and you can be just one day ahead of your students. Like, I'm gonna learn the strategy for tomorrow, and then I'm gonna learn the strategy for tomorrow. And little by little, you have them all set up. There are a lot of websites that have free books. You don't have to have a humongous library in your classroom. But again, if they're going to use their phones, you have to have expectations. What happened when I catch a student being in a different website? Then maybe they lose the chance one day or 1 week. If it's a repetitive, you have to work on these copies or these paper books, something like that. But you have to tell them in advance what's going to be the consequence, right? Very good. Okay. Now, let's talk about the mini lesson. How do you work in small groups when you are working as, again, on strategies, not on levels? Well, you first connect with students, like, how are you? Tell me how it has been working. Maybe you have to teach and model how to work. Like the video we saw, like, I don't know how to do it. Let me reread. So you show them you're thinking out loud for them to be able to learn how to do it, and without being guessing, like, am I doing the right thing? And you make them practice in pairs, and show me how to do it with your friend. And then you have to say, this is what you're going to do when you're working alone. Let's watch a small video about the mini lessons. Again,
these 100% grass-fed beef sticks from Paleo Valley are 30 sticks for just $36 right now.
Effective mini lessons are 15 minutes long. Follow a 4-step rhythm and progress through the gradual release model. Whether you're teaching comprehension strategies or writing skills, the same 4-step architecture is the gold standard for planning and delivering whole class instruction. Within the first 30 seconds of the lesson, reveal what skill you plan to teach. Lessons are mini, so keep the focus narrow. A mini lesson addresses a small, granular facet of a complex grade level skill. The second step is the longest and most important part. Spend the next 5 minutes defining the skill and describing how it works. Although each lesson lasts 15 minutes, the teacher will only deliver about 5 minutes of new content each day. That's because after the teacher tells the students about the skill in step 2A, then she models how it works in step 2B. While demonstrating the skill live in front of the students, describe your thinking process all the way through. Talk through how you wrestle with and ultimately apply the skill. While pausing, hesitating, and troubleshooting in a think aloud, often students want to help you. For those who raise their hands during the I do, ignore them. Don't call on them. Tell them to put their hands down. This model isn't necessarily for the 2 or 3 students who can help you, but the other 25 students who don't know how to do it at all. Although students merely watch and listen during step 2B, we want their help in step 3. The next 5 minutes includes you applying the same skill in a second example. Again, work through the thinking just as you did in step 2B, but pause before giving the answer. Invite students to turn and talk. What do they think? Eavesdrop on students' turn and talk responses, anticipating that their first attempts may be weak and or wrong. Consequently, share out what you heard, massaging their ideas to create a strong example. The we do is more precisely characterized as I do again and you help me. After the I do in step 2B and the we do in step 3, it's time for the you do and step 4. Step 4 is only about 30 seconds and includes 2 components. First, restate the lesson's focus and then describe the you do task. What do you want students to do with the skill now that the lesson is over? Notice the parentheses around the you do label in step 4. Although the I do and we do are executed within the 15-minute lesson, the you do task is accomplished outside the lesson. When planning what you want students to do, consider that they can't necessarily execute this new and complex skill independently just yet. Therefore, don't make this an all-by-yourself homework assignment. Instead, provide opportunities for students to first work through the skill in small groups or pairs, and always in class, where the teacher is there to provide lots of support. Throughout a multi-day mini-lesson series, you will shape and layer students' knowledge about a skill. Therefore, each day they'll become more confident with the skill and will be ready for more independent assignments and eventually assessments.
So as you notice, the teacher said, I do, I show them, I model for them. Then we do, I pick another example and I take their opinions or ideas, and the ones that are not accurate, I don't take it into consideration, but I don't say, no, you're wrong. Hold there. Let me send this guest the link. Let me send the link here. I'm sorry. So tell me what you think. Is this something, the video that you show about the teacher, something you already do, something you think it's doable? How do you think about that? Anyone?
That sounds logical because it provides actually enough drilling. Though we do not do anything just for the sake of drilling, but in case if we skip this stage of reproduction, how can we transfer to the more productive stage? Yeah, so it's just at the stage of this like modeling and practicing together that again undergoes under the heading of the so-called drilling. That we as teachers can be in the know know what they learned well, and so what they still lack, what needs to be done. Maybe some corrective work needs to be still done. Because, for example, it's essential not just to encode some information, but to be well aware how it's decoded by our students. Yeah, and so it's what happens at the stage of this modeling, when while asking them to work in pairs, for example, to paraphrase, to fill in, or do some other tasks, so they start showing what they've learned and how correctly it was done. And so it's here that teacher should be quite flexible and notice like all these problem areas at once, and help them to, so like he should help them to to improve if something goes wrong, without necessarily saying that everything is bad, how could you, and whatnot. So like there should be a feedback, but it should be a constructive one, and maybe even a bit more encouraging at this stage of like the learning process.
Yes. And I don't know if any of you in the audience have heard already about the I do, we do, you do. That's a way to release the strategy, to release the know-how, but not in a threatening way. So you model for them, you do it with them, and then you let them practice, as she said, the first time, maybe in a one-on-one, like a group pairing, then maybe in a small group. But the important thing is that by practicing several times, you are allowing them to work independently on that skill. You don't throw them to the lions the first time. I show it to you, and then you start doing. That is to set them for failure dramatically. Let me see if she's able to enter. So I really think that modeling for them, and you may think that is crazy when you do all that thinking out loud. Oh, I don't know what this word means. Oh, but let me read the prior sentence, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and I connect. So you do what they should be doing in their own brain. And that is so interesting to be able to see them being able to work. So I have to stop here now. My friend Kitty is here. I'm going to invite her to turn on her camera and her microphone. Remember that I told you we're going to stop here to talk about her experience doing project-based learning. Kitty, are you there? Let me
Yeah,
see.
can you hear me?
Yes, perfect. How are you? Good morning.
Sorry about the technology issue.
Don't worry, be happy.
We figured it out.
Yay, thank you. So if you want to introduce yourself, I told them that we are co-workers, but I want you to dig a little bit in your international experience and what the project-based learning that you did there and what you taught me this semester here at CNM. Well,
okay. Well, it's nice to meet everybody. I have been an educator for 10 years now, and I started my journey off by getting a CELTA certificate, which allowed me to teach English as a second language in overseas. And I went to South Korea. I was there for 7 years, and I did a lot of project-based learning by incorporating ESL strategies in a classroom of children. We did a lot of games, a lot of projects like creating posters, having the students create games, singing songs, dancing, all kinds of different strategies like that. Some of my favorite things to do with young kids are for math and science. We're using Number Rock, which is a resource on YouTube, and the students would hear the songs a couple of times, and keep in mind they did not speak English very well. And by the end of the week, I would have a class of 30 second graders standing up and dancing to the 4 times tables or 7 times tables. And it was a really great way to engage them and make learning fun, which is always your goal as a teacher. You want it to be engaging and you want them to enjoy what they're learning so that they want to come back. I've also done things like we did a really fun science project where they each received a raw egg, and they had to create some kind of like tissue paper or some kind of a contraption to hold the egg, and we dropped it, and we could see if the eggs would break. And what was great about that is I gave them the vocabulary in English to use, and they were excited to practice their vocabulary and talk about all the different things that happen to their eggs. And we mentioned every type of language tool that you could use, like all the vocabulary words for the materials and what kind of a reaction you'd want to say if your egg broke, like wow or oh no, all these different tools. I also like to use project-based learning in my adult classroom. This semester I did cooking activities where we made recipe books. We made posters that described where we wanted to travel. We did coloring activities. Even adults enjoy getting markers and crayons and coloring. And as long as you provide the students with the vocabulary and you kind of teach them how to talk about the materials, you can use project-based learning in any classroom. I've also done little debates like which is better, Burger King or McDonald's, and that can be really fun if you know what your students like, if you know what they like to eat, or if they're passionate about something, something trivial. You don't want to talk about politics in the classroom, but McDonald's and Burger King is safe. And we did a lot of different things. There was a fashion show that we thought to do, but you have to go off what your students' interests are. And my students this year were only interested in cooking. So we did a lot of cooking. We even brought food ingredients into the classroom and we talked about what we were cooking, and we made macaroni and cheese, but it was still really fun and it gave them a tangible experience that they could use their English skills for. Yeah, I don't know if
They
you have
also
any other
eat what
questions.
they cooked? Did they eat what they cooked? Because you said
Oh yeah, we ate what we cooked and we talked about if it was delicious or disgusting or too salty or too bitter. I just made sure that I provided them with all the vocabulary that they could need to have a conversation and sentence starters, and just providing them with these experiences that give them the actual practicum to talk and to do.
So, hi, Kathleen. I've got a question. What about your students? Do they like this method, project-based learning? What about them?
I have heard this semester, they tell me that they enjoy this over the handouts and worksheets. I think a lot of teachers like to use worksheets because it's just easy to print it out. But I notice we have a very joyful classroom. It creates a warm environment where people feel comfortable to share. Like I said, we did the recipe book. I have students primarily from Mexico, Cuba, and Afghanistan. So that was really fun to talk about the food that you eat and the country you're from. And I noticed my students felt very welcome. And some of my students made recipes for foods that I would never want to eat, like tripe. I'm not comfortable eating that, but it was still a good experience to share and to communicate and to learn about different cultures. And they do really enjoy doing projects.
And so while doing something, while cooking, are they communicating? Are they speaking English with each other?
Well, sometimes they slip into their native language. That's a danger you have when the students all speak their first language is the same, but you have to guide them. So you give them sentence structures to talk about. I would do like kind of icebreakers when we're cooking. So you pick it, what's your favorite color? And then they can talk about that, or what's some place that you want to go to. And we talk, you know, kind of guiding them to have a guided discussion to try to keep it in English. But sometimes they do stray off, you know, they do want to make friends with each other. And as an educator, you have to have the tools to kind of bring them back and focus. But you do that in any class setting.
So thank you.
Thank you, Natalia. Anyone else that has a question for my dear friend Kitty?
So besides cooking, what other project-based learning tasks, so did you suggest? What else did they do?
So games, creating games. I gave students like a blank page with kind of a pathway, and they had to make questions, sort of like a Monopoly style game. And we had dice, and they created their own board game. That was really fun. We had lots of different types of questions and reverse and go forward. That was really fun. We've also done like really basic arts and crafts projects with like pretending to buy like something, you know, and they would kind of do like a collage with what they would want to buy if they had this much money. I find the American money system to be a little difficult for people. Like, what is a quarter? What is a nickel? So I made it a game in like a collage. We've also done like with like when people start to get tired, we do physical games like Simon Says types of activities, or getting a ball outside and throwing the ball and asking a question. And then when you get the ball, you have to respond and then make another question. And these are all guided, like it's all on the target language. And it's all constructed in a way where everybody can be successful. So maybe the questions are beginning with what is or where is, and you kind of lead them to be successful. And during this, there are some mistakes with pronunciation. And during that, you just take it and you use it as a learning opportunity. Oh, actually, we pronounce it this way. And then everybody gets to hear, but they're having fun. This strategy is great for not singling out specific students to isolate them, because you're already in the mentality where you're enjoying what you're doing. You're doing something exciting. Another activity that we've done is like role play. That's a really popular one. This evening, I've got some, for my class this evening, I've got some posters of different locations, and my students are going to pretend that they're in a restaurant, and they're going to act out how they would order from a menu, and if they're disappointed in the food that they received. And how I've done this is I've given them I'll be giving them little cards that say if it's a problem or if they're happy. And each card will have a little picture. So they have to kind of identify the meaning of the picture and then respond based on whatever the conversation is at that moment. It's going to be really open-ended, but I do think my students will be successful with it. I've also done other like theater kind of experiences where the whole class, the whole curriculum is based off of making a play. for the class. And students really like that because most students want to learn to speak over reading and writing. And by providing them with these authentic experiences, they tend to thrive learning the language because they're fully engaged by being immersed in whatever it is that your target language is.
Yes.
I'm sure I can think of other examples.
May I ask a question? And how often do you have such tasks? Do you give them such tasks? How often?
How often? Well, I would say if I'm teaching a class 5 days a week, 2 to 3 days of that week will be a project, and maybe 1 or 2 days of the week will be going over the target language. But I always have some kind of a hands-on experience, whether it's singing a song or throwing the ball around the classroom. I call it popcorn, the popcorn game, where you throw a ball and you ask a question and they have to respond. I always do something like that, but the real projects are usually about 3 days out of a 5-day week.
Is everything done in the classroom or outside the classroom?
What do you mean?
Oh, it's just these activities, project-based activities. So, like, I've understood that when you were talking about cooking, that was like they brought the ingredients and it was done in the classroom. But you're talking about like the rest, so the games, for example, are they always held or conducted in the classroom or perhaps outside?
You mean the physical space of the classroom?
No, I'm talking just are the kids always kept inside the classroom? So, or perhaps like when you deal with these games and tasks, so maybe you take them somewhere outside the school or like go somewhere.
Yeah. Sometimes we'll leave the space if the weather permits. Sometimes changing the scenery helps a lot with engaging students, and sometimes it deters them. So you kind of have to gauge your students. But I've definitely taken students outside of my classroom to do some of these projects, like throwing the ball, or we did another project I'm remembering. I did a mathalon. I had to teach them math in English, and their second language was Spanish. And it was really great because we went outside and we did different scavenger hunts, and we did like kicking the ball against the wall, and they had to hit a number and then multiply it. And that was a really great way to engage them because not everybody can sit in a classroom, for hours on end.
Yes.
Yeah.
From time to time, students keep on asking me, like, of going to some cafe or to the park. Yeah. So, and when the weather permits, we do that. Yeah.
Mhm. Excellent. Well, anyone that has a question for Kitty before we move on? And Kitty, thank you so much for coming today.
I'm so glad that you invited me. I was bummed when my computer wouldn't. So I'm glad you guys were still needing my help.
Yes. No, excited to meet. And again, to everyone, if you have a question later, like, oh, I should have asked this to Kitty, you can send it my way, and I would make sure to send Kitty the questions. Okay, well, Kitty, thank you so much again.
Thank you.
Always a blessing collaborate with you. See you soon, my friend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, she works with me, and we have been learning a lot from each other. And thank you for your questions. That is always great. And thank you for agreeing to split the presentation in two in order for her to be able to come. So we talk about a mini lesson. And how do we do it? You can do it whole class, or you can do it just with a specific group of students that you're working with. But now, how do we conference with the students? Well, you connect when you have them all near you, you connect 3 to 5 minutes with each one of them, and they would have, you decide the template. That was mine. So it has all the strategies on top with the cafe And then you write the date when you conference with them. What did you do well? Well, you progress in your comprehension, and what are you going to be working on? And that is the goal for the next week or the next 2 weeks. And you set that student to start doing it. But it's very important to identify the strengths, what that student is doing good, but then you introduce this new skill. Okay, now you're going to be working on this new skill, and you can mark it in the paper so the student is reminded. And it's very important, the dates, because remember last time you see their folder, last time we talked about this, and you were doing very well in these, but then we set this goal, show me what you're doing. And then you record the notes very quickly in the paper. Each student have a binder, and that way you really keep track of what they're doing and what they have been assigned to work on. Let's watch a video on how to conference with students. It's very quickly.
I was treated for my moderate to severe frown lines, crow's feet, and forehead lines. I'm the one.
Okay.
All right, Ellie, how you doing?
Good.
Okay. What you reading?
The strange case of Ordamura.
Terrific. And what page are you on?
82.
82.
So he's working 5th grade level. And look, the teacher is writing on his binder.
Fluency, right?
Fluency.
So I'm going to have you read out loud for me. Starting. Let's start. That looks good. Right?
In fact, he's close to Mr. Howell's size. Then to ours. I think he...
Sorry for interrupting. Did you notice why she's having him work on fluency? He's reading like that, and you cannot comprehend. So she's making him work in a more fluid reading, so that way he's able to understand better. And she goes and she meets with the students where they're at around the classroom. That's why she's whispering.
He failed to our 3 times and is probably about 15 years old. I had trouble with him once. I had called some kid and yeah.
We're not gonna listen all. You can see this student is at 5th grade. And the research says that if a student is not reading at grade level in 4th grade, the tendency is that they can drop out in high school. We have so many students in high school that they don't know how to read. That's why the importance of conferencing with each one of them. Because the students that are in high school and they don't know how to read, I'm thinking, why nobody check on them? Why nobody noticed they were not able to read? So conferencing, it's a huge component in our daily task, and you record notes of where they at, what they are doing good, and what is the next goal. Any questions about this? Very good. So the next goal would be a small group instruction. Again, you are grouping them based on the strategy. Maybe you have gifted and talented students that are in 2nd grade and they're already learning chapter books, or you have, like me, 2nd grade students that are reading at a kindergarten level, but you are pairing them based on the strategy, not on the reading level base. And the groups are flexible and they are temporary. While they master this strategy, maybe next day you have different students and you mix and match your groups because of the strategy that you're working in. And it is very important that you keep observing the students and that you ask them, give me your binder, you write your notes, and you give them back the binder, because that's where they are being working. They have their binder open and their book open, so they remember the strategy that they are working on. Let's see a video of working small group instruction.
Cole's mom. When my wife opened her gift last year, she made this face.
Give her. Okay.
This is a consonant. This is a two-letter spelling for P. Okay? It's good. Or it's going to say I. I. Say the song to me. No, there you go. Say the song stuff. Right. Good. Go back to the beginning.
Taking the right pause from the cacao trees is the first step in making chocolate. Inside each pod are 20 to 50 beans.
So as you may see, the teacher is working with them. The sounds that they are not able to accomplish, the teacher is very good in pointing out, this is the way you pronounce it, this is the way you make it sound. And did you notice that all the other students were reading their books? The majority of the students are engaged in their books, and the secret is because they like the topics of the books they are reading. That is a very important part to make it a success. Now, what are the applications of these strategies for students, kindergarten to adult? So you use visuals and sentence frames. That is very important for the students to be able to work in their comprehension, that they are able to express their ideas. You model for them, and as Kitty was saying, give them the vocabulary. I like, I don't understand, things like that. Here in the community college where we're working, we follow the Oxford Picture Dictionary. I don't know if you have ever heard, but you have topics like hospital and food, and you work on a unit. So the students have the vocabulary. It comes with an audio in how to pronounce all the words. So sometimes the students are just listening to the audio, and then we come as a class and we talk about the vocabulary. And then you find a short text that align with the topic for fluency, and you model vocabulary strategies to find out the meaning and how to use it, things like that. And last but not least, here are a few references for books in regard the same topics. And that's all I have for you. I know I throw a bunch of things, but my desire is to encourage you, and that you know there's a whole world of things that you can use to help your students become excited about the reading class. Because when it's everybody gets their book and they are all pretending they are reading, but they are basically sleeping, it's because the topic is the book, it's too high for them. The topic, it's boring. They are afraid to ask. So here the secret is teach them the strategy and how to get better reader, and conference with them to see where they're at. I am a witness that this really works from elementary to high school, and you need just try, give it a chance. Olina.
Sorry, yeah, so I now I unmuted myself. Yeah, that's quite inspiring, and there are a lot of great ideas. So for all of us to hear and to digest, we need definitely to digest everything. Because personally, for me, this cafe idea like is brand new. That's the very first time when I hear anything about that. But there are a lot of strategies that I would definitely need to think over and start implementing in my own work with my students. Yeah, for sure. Thank you.
Yes, and this is a system that is very, very used here in the United States, not just at the elementary level, but with English as a second level students, because the needs are so different in each student. So that way you give them a chance to grow at their own pace. And before I leave, do I have any questions? I don't know if I terrify you or you're excited. Tell me.
Well, honestly speaking, each session when we have, there is all the time there is something new for me, personally for me. That's why Alina is right. We just I need time to digest everything, every session, every information was given to us. So I'm really excited. I have already written you in our messaging. That's why, wow, it's a great experience for me. And I'm really, really glad and I'm happy that I was here during all these sessions.
And you have a singer there. I love it. Very good. No, let him sing. It's beautiful. Well, this is officially our last session where I'm gonna be throwing a bunch of things to you. This I have been learning it in the 20 years that I have been teaching here in the United States. And I hope that this enrich you, challenge you, get you excited. And again, you're going to get out of this as much as you invest in it. The first time I heard about cafe, I was like, there is no way I'm going to be able to do it because it seems like a lot. But again, start one strategy at a time. And practice, practice, practice. This is what we're doing now. Show me how to do it. And then you correct it and you correct it and you correct it. And you would not believe how much your students are going to grow. You will absolutely love it. But again, just give it a chance.
So thank you very much. It was very interesting and useful for us.
Excellent. I'm very, very glad. And I do it with all my love, hoping that all of you get excited about in trying new things in your classroom.
Yeah,
but that's all I have for you. Olina, you're it.
Oh, actually, so there are some things that we need to discuss with you rather than with our participants, yeah?
Yes.
That's why I will ask you to stay. And if talking about our participants, if that's all, then we'll see you in a week, yeah? Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for your...
Alina, may I ask you one more
question?
question? Tell me, please. Next week is our last session, or in December, and then we continue in January.
So that's what we are going to discuss right now, yeah? Because for January, that would definitely mark our last class, our last session, since Christmas is coming, and all that stuff. That's why, that will be the last class for December. And we will have some meeting in January. So how many times we'll meet? That's what we're going now to negotiate on, yeah? Because we have some great ideas, but we need to discuss them with Lucia. And then, so you will stay tuned.
Yeah, we will keep in touch. But we're planning something beautiful and interesting for all of you. We value your time. We know you are tired. You have house to clean, food to cook. So we want that your time in January is worth coming. So we're going to plan something beautiful and exciting for all of you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you
Bye.
so much to you, Sophia. See
Thank
you
you,
next
bye.
week.
See you all
Bye.
in a week. Mhm.
Have a great week. Thank you, Tatiana.
Lucia, and one more question for you. Do you remember when we talked about the vowel sound system? Or,
Color vowel.
Color, oh my God. You told us that there would be a conference in December.
Oh, let me tell her.
That's what we will. Maybe that what we will have like in January. So we need to discuss it.
Okay.
So, like,
Okay, Olena.
Yes.
Well. So you will inform us now in Telegram.
Definitely, I promise. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye. Bye.